There's so much unfolding in 2026, and man, it's going to be intense if you're not ready for it. It's a pivotal time with a lot of momentum to help you break out of the illusion of separation into the lived experience of more joyfulness, abundance, brilliance, and the remembering of who you truly are. But to get there, we need to overcome some challenges and learn some key things. My name is Karen Cheong, and in this episode of Mastering Your World Through Frequencies, I'm going to share what to expect in 2026 and some of the biggest learnings that are presenting themselves in this next window of Ascension.
2026 is supposed to be shaping up to be quite a phenomenal year, and everybody is talking about that March-April period. Now, it didn't escape my notice that we have booked a retreat in San Miguel de Allende, which itself, in and of itself, is a place of particularly high resonance.
Yes.
And now you have booked this retreat at this pivotal moment of the timelines. And everybody that is in the know, supposedly, of this whole consciousness growing, the planet and her own creation of her consciousness is saying that is the time. Okay, why did you do that?
Well, I didn't do it on purpose, to be perfectly frank. I just knew that it had to be in March. And it was funny, the way things happen, right?
Yeah.
So we've done the San Miguel de Allende retreat in February for the past 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
And we tried to book it for February, but it wasn't available. And the only date that was available in February or March is the date that we have. And the only reason we have that date is because somebody had held the date at the venue and then canceled or something like this.
They didn't pay their deposit.
They didn't pay the deposit. So we weren't supposed to have that date. And then all of a sudden we did. And it's smack, like it's the third week of March. And the reason all this matters, and the reason we're talking about this is sort of giggling, because we have no idea what's going to happen exactly.
No.
Okay, so just for everyone to know, it's not like I have clear understanding what's going to happen. I never do before, right?
Yeah.
Because part of it is the unfolding for me and to not be in my head about it. Right?
Yeah.
To allow myself to be in the surrender of like what is unfolding.
And I have to say that is why your retreats are so good.
Oh, thank you.
Because you don't let your ego and your mind get in the way of trying to predict or trying to manipulate what needs to happen.
Yeah.
You just allow it to unfold, which is phenomenally crazy, right? But
yeah, I mean, it's a lot more work because we're doing it in real time, meaning the content is always coming in real time as the mastermind ascends. So the thing is that's hard about these retreats is the title.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any idea what exactly is going to happen. We don't. And we have a sense of what's happening. And, you know, it's funny, before Egypt, I was thinking to myself, you know, I know SMA is coming, but I was like, there's no way that we can even begin to know what the name of this retreat is until we complete Egypt, because Egypt must complete first.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why at the time, but, you know, given the huge amount of leap in our resonance, and if you have missed it, watch the Egypt episode on Mastering Your World Through Frequencies. It's fun.
And it will explain a lot.
It will explain
as
a
to
lot.
Why SMA is what it
is and why it's so important. So anyway, as I mentioned in that last episode, but I'll say it again here in case you missed it. What is happening at the end of December of this year, of 2025, is the beginning of a very new wave of even higher resonating frequencies coming in. So these waves are very long and very high, okay? And it means that the depth at which they will, let's say, shake things up is quite huge, right? It's meant to basically pull you out of your comfort, pull you out of the mind, and to really force you, if you are willing, basically. I know it's hard to think about it. It's like force you and also being willing, but really you have to choose. To give you the opportunity, let's just say, to really come into the heart space. Now, these waves begin at the end of December 2025. They're going to go for maybe till fall, early winter maybe of next year. We have to see what we choose as a collective and individually. I know that seems like a long time, but it's really not. Okay, that window is tiny, actually, compared to, you know, the infiniteness of time. So, or even if you think about it in the scale of your lifetime, I mean, it's very short. So these waves are coming, and along with these waves, there is dissolution of timelines. These heavy old timelines that haven't served you, which hold the memory of oppression and greed and scarcity and a tremendous amount of fear and a lot of lack of trust in yourself. Meaning a lot of people want to trust the universe and they want to trust what they call their higher self or what I call the big S self. But really when it comes to brass tacks, they don't, right? Like they want to. I'm not saying that you don't want to. You can really want to. And sometimes, when everything's going great, you can.
Yeah.
But it's when things get rocky that the trust like drops away and you're like, uh-oh. And that's when we start to go into control patterns because we're so terrified that something terrible is going to happen that we won't be able to control and that will yield some horrible result.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're really afraid of being out of control. And so these waves, however you experience them, and the higher your resonance, the easier it will be, honestly. It just has to do, like, imagine yourself like in water even, right? The more buoyant you are, the more you can like move around with the waves and perhaps even surf them. But the heavier you are, the more like the waves are like smashing you in the head as you're trying to like struggle for air, right? It's kind of similar. Yeah. So the higher your resonance, the more buoyant you are and the more you can, be aware of the waves. You probably will be buffeted by them to some degree. They're meant to knock out what doesn't serve you and to have you rise in your resonance. And so this time of March, April that you've alluded to, that we didn't actually plan at all, it just sort of was like, and you're doing it now, is meant to be, from what I understand, a time when a lot of these timelines are dissolving. And as a result of these timelines dissolving, it can be kind of chaotic, right? Because you don't, like, when I say that very casually, like you're all the time, like a number of timelines are dissolving. When you have this level of chaos, it can be really disorienting, so tech starts to glitch. People forget what they've said. They don't commit in the same way that they used to. Things change in terms of plans. Nothing is certain anymore. Things that were supposed to be happening at this time aren't, like dissolution happens. Yeah. And relationships start to like get weird and to dissolve. Now, the dissolution is meant to happen, not to punish you, but really so that things that don't serve you can drop away and that you enter this space of the unknown, which is scary for a lot of people, I realize, but to be in the space of the unknown before you move into this higher resonance. But a lot of people kind of freak out when they're in that space of the unknown because you're like, I don't know, like, right? Because it can look like chaos, whether it's in your job or in your relationship or in your family life or in whatever is happening for you or in all of the above. It can be really scary, especially if you're trying to hang on to the way you want it to be. Yeah. That makes it even harder. But that's the significance of March and April next year. Now, do I know for certain how it's going to look? No. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But I have been hearing and I've known that this is a period where in this time where there is this kind of dissolving and in this time where there is so much chaos and the unknown unfolding, that's exactly the time where you need to learn to move into the heart space. And so I've been talking about the heart space for a while, but in San Miguel, what we've named the retreat is dropping through the heart vortex, returning to your multidimensional divinity. Because when you actually are able to move your consciousness from your mind or your head, from your thoughts, into the heart space, this is when you start to discover you as I've been talking about before, source intelligence embodied in form, but you, the greater you that already exists at all these different levels of consciousness. And you can even ask, like, why is that so important? Well, because if you're aware of yourself at greater degrees of consciousness, it's very reassuring in a way. Like we always think like the physical is the end all be all. We're trying to control it all the time. But if you're aware of yourself at higher levels of consciousness, it's not scary. You know what I mean? You have like a greater perspective. It's the stress of not having enough or not trusting the universe drops away because in order to be aware of those levels of you at those higher level orders, that's implicit.
Yeah. I also think just even from a practical side, the minute that you shift your consciousness back into your heart and on your head, you're no longer listening to the stories of the past or those timelines that were generating these stories and programs. You've now shifted into this present moment and only this present moment, right? Yeah. And that kind of makes sense to the whole March, April time where the timelines are dissipating and we're moving into this just now moment. Yeah. Is kind of like what that shift is. When you move into the heart, there is no past, present.
It's just now.
no past and future. There's only that present.
Yeah.
And as you've always been teaching us for day one, it's in this space where the void is and where all that potential to be and create is just sitting waiting for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And also that expansion into the eternal now, right? Into that like now that's ever present, ever infinite, expansive, right? And so time as scarcity drops away. And also, as you said, in the now, that's when you really truly can realize the power of yourself as a creator being.
Yeah.
Because it's a nice idea, you know? Like people throw around this idea all the time. And people are like, okay, I kind of know what you mean.
Yes.
Right? But it doesn't really feel like it can do that exactly because I want all this stuff and I haven't gotten it. You know?
And then I've got all these programs that tell me why I can't have it.
Yeah, exactly. And why it is that I want these things in the first place.
Yeah,
it's like, exactly.
Which is mine.
Yeah, exactly.
And like this is the place to figure that out. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
To be in that space. And I feel like it's interesting. You know, a lot of people will ask me, you know, what is it that you try to manifest? And it's funny because when you rise in your resonance enough and you realize that you're a creator being, I don't want to pretend like I don't have any desire because that's not true. But it's significantly less.
Yeah.
Like what you desire is less.
Yeah.
And it's more about like, well, what is possible really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you kind of get out of the way of your own limitation of what you even want or what you think is possible, if that makes sense. Because all of a sudden, all this, you can have like a loose idea of what it is that you want. So let's just imagine, I don't know, like you want to build a home or something like this, or you want something like that. And then you've been thinking about it, and then nothing happens. But then all of a sudden, you know, the right people start to come in for you.
Yeah.
You know, the architect, the builder, the whatever, and you just happen to meet them. And all of a sudden it's like going, you know, in this really spectacular way. Or if, for example, you're starting on, you know that you're being called to serve in a different way, right? So you know that whatever you're doing for work is like, you know, whatever for now. And you're focusing on yourself and you're working on yourself, which is fantastic. And as your resonance rises, you just have this clear sense, like I'm doing something else, but I don't know what it is yet. But when you're in that moment of that eternal now and in that reflection of the creator being, you start to, because you have that impulse of something new, you don't have to define it. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't have to know right now that it looks like this and it has this and blah, blah, blah. You allow for the universe to come in with all these different people who are like, oh, how about this and that and the other thing? And all of a sudden, you start to live into what it is that you're creating without knowing exactly what it is that you're creating, if that makes sense. You're just following.
An endless creation.
Yeah,
almost,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. The key to being buoyant during a time when we're surrounded by so much chaos and polarization is being able to stay in your center and get out of the fear that can happen when you're up in your head. Click on the link in the description below to get your free Centering into the 0 Point Group Frequency Calibration.
I remember feeling at the end of the Egypt retreat, because we spent a lot of time being in that space, that I remember getting home and it sounds crazy because it's obvious, but at the same time I was like, I am really not in charge.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm really definitely not in charge. Whoa. Yeah, that was so incredibly humbling.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, okay, that was a resonance I was in. I can feel myself, coming back into this everyday living and, all right, I got to do this. Oh, hang on, here we go again.
Yeah.
The mind thinks it's in charge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be in that space, like you said, when I can sit in that space long enough and not even hoard it, it's just surrender to it almost.
Yes, it's surrender to it, yeah.
There is nothing.
Yeah, there
nothing else more important.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't
Right?
it? Yeah, because it's funny, and it's going to sound funny, but it takes a certain discipline to follow the heart in a way, because you're so conditioned to your mind.
Yeah.
So even, for example, this is like the dumbest example, I imagine, but it's like, okay, well, I have all these things I got to do, and I feel this pull. I'm like, I need to go meditate right now. And I'm like, but I've all these things I do. I got to write all these things. I got to do all these things. La, 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 la. I got this list. La, it's getting bigger. Right? And I was like, you need to go meditate. I'm like, oh, God. All right. Right? So I'm going to go and be, right? Because my mind is telling me, like, you don't have a half an hour right now.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
You have all these things you've got to do. And I'm like, actually, all these things that I think are important hinge on the resonance that I am. So if I put myself into meditation and whatever happens in that meditation, then everything else is going to reorganize. And honestly, it does. Because I came out of the meditation, this actually happened this morning.
Yeah.
I came out of that meditation And literally, things are falling away. Things are becoming more important. I remembered something that I had to do that actually was really significant. I was like, oh, weird. So everything I planned for today just went, right? Except for maybe this. And then it's reorganizing, And so it takes discipline because it's very easy for me to have been like, okay, well, I do have to do all these things. So I'm just going to focus on that and like chuck the meditation, right?
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like tiny little things that seem non-consequential, but it's being in that surrender, or even like for me, in case it's helpful for people who are doers out there, it's like, you can have an idea in your mind of, okay, I have to do all these different things. I've put them in my order of priority. And for you, I know you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. But for someone like me, you're like, oh yeah, like I prioritize and I know what I'm doing. And then as you're in this heart space more, there's this feeling sense of like, actually, I think it's this order, but I don't know why it's this first.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the rest is going to be, but I know it's this thing first. And so I just follow that.
Yeah.
So it's a tiny little thing. Does anyone see this other than me? No.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is if you follow that more and more, everything sort of like shifts and changes around that.
To
and
support.
Then, to support. And then time starts to open for you in a way that you didn't expect. It's kind of a funny...
Or lengthens.
Yeah, lengthens. Right. Yeah.
Wait. Didn't I just, it feels like half an hour and it's only been 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that happen.
Don't try and figure out.
Yeah. Or another way that might show up for me is like, okay, well, I gave myself a certain amount of time to write this thing. Because, I do all the writing for Spherical Luminosity. You're hearing my voice.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of writing.
Yeah, because you're not using that chat GPT.
No. No, I'm writing it all.
I know that you're writing it from your own sense feeling.
Yeah, exactly. So, but what will happen is, time will lengthen and it'll take me less time to just like write something.
Yeah.
And for any of you who are creative, you can try to force that all day long and it's not.
Yeah.
You can't make it, really.
No. I mean, I haven't done the amount. I haven't done the amount of writing that you've done, but the little bits that I have to do, I'll sit down and I've got to write this. It's just not happening. Walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah, walk away.
Yeah.
I'll go for a walk with the dogs or something. And then typically it can be like at 8 o'clock at night. Oh, I've got
it. No one bother me.
Yeah. Don't come near me.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so let's come back to the San Miguel retreat then in relation to what you've just described.
Yeah.
Because people are going to say, well, haven't we done this before? We're always getting into the heart. And we always get into the heart. We're living your brilliance, But it's happening at a significant time.
Yeah.
Unplanned.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a group of people come in. So what do you think? I mean, I know you can't predict, but you've done Peru, Scotland, Egypt. Now you know that you've got to do this. So do you have a sense of how it's different?
Yeah, I do. Well, barely, just to be really clear.
Yeah.
Okay. So this heart vortex thing, I mean, I have spent years moving into the heart space.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like a one-time deal. It's a practice. And I know that. And I've been talking about it for years. Okay. And it's an infinite space and it's quantum.
Yeah.
So, it's like surrender. You think you surrendered. You're like, okay, done, sorted. And you're like, no, have to surrender some more. Okay. So the thing is, this heart vortex and the dropping through it and being aware of me, my big S self me, at higher levels of consciousness is something new. It only actually came in at the very end of the Egypt retreat for me personally.
Right.
And typically my function as a human is to receive certain things, experience it myself, integrate it, know it, and then turn around and share it.
Yeah.
Right? So other people can do it themselves in however they do it. So the thing is, a lot of us will think of the big S self or the higher self. Even the higher self is even worse because a lot of people think, oh, the higher self is out there. Yeah. Somewhere. This more grand, more perfect version of me.
Yeah.
And it's therefore untouchable because it's like, I don't know what they think it is, but it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like not really them.
Yeah.
It's like some mini god, or something that they supposedly have access to or something like this. Yeah. But the thing is, it is you, all right? And what we're starting to experience in the awakening journey is as you start to rise in your resonance, first of all, you recognize that your big S self or your higher self, whatever you want to call it, is expressed through you. It's coming through you. It is the expression of you as source intelligence and form. the higher your resonance, the more you're aware of it. And because it already exists within you, it exists at different levels, higher dimensional levels of consciousness. We're always trying to find awakening at a higher dimensional consciousness, as if it's outside of us somewhere. Like we're trying to get there. But the thing is, it already exists within you. It's just you've got all this distortion that causes you to not be aware of this big S self within you, and that it's not really, you hold it as separate. So therefore it is separate because you're creating separation. You are separate from your higher self. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's not separate from you. It is you. But we really, really insist that it's separate from us, damn it. Right? And it has all these amazing abilities, but it's not me. Right? It's out there. But the thing is, when you start to recognize, wait, this is within me. Like on some level, right? Not through your mind, but just some kind of awareness, recognition, knowingness, felt sense, however you perceive. And then you start to perceive yourself at higher dimensions of consciousness within yourself, even if there's no story around it.
Yeah.
You start to realize that you're infinitely guided by you.
Yeah.
Not some omniscient something out there that does something and then you're, subject to. It's freaking you.
Yeah.
But we really don't believe that we're worthy of it. We don't know, like we run around being like, we don't know anything. I'm wounded. I'm all fragmented. I'm like hurt. I don't know. I'm traumatized. How am I going to do all that stuff? But the thing is, it's already there within you, and it's just about releasing your patterns enough. So your resonance comes up so you can have this awareness through the heart space because it's not thought.
Yeah.
You cannot think your way to this awareness. I'm sorry. You cannot. You may want to truly with all of your beingness, but you must actually do it through your heart space. So when you have that awareness through the heart, for some people, it's just like, I know. There's no explaining it. It just happens. But you're refining your knowingness. You're refining your felt sense. You're refining your perception, your awareness. And the thing is, that is important because it starts to give you this tremendous degree of confidence, not cockiness, confidence.
Yeah.
Like, I am being guided by me. Actually, this is all for me. So life, instead of being you being this victim that's disempowered and hurt, you're like, wait a minute. No. That's actually not what's really happening here at all. This really is truly for me, created by me to learn something and to ascend. Which is truly spectacular because why would you hurt yourself? You know what I mean? Like you're not going to do that. And so your choice in terms of the challenge that you're presented with is always your choice. But it's funny when you're of a higher and higher resonance, you realize this is not from a place of victim. Like this challenge is presenting. Okay, wait, what's happening here? What do I need to learn? What do I need to examine? What do I need to release in order for me to step into that? So being aware or returning to your multidimensional divinity as within you is a huge, massive freaking leap. Because we, like I said, think, it's all out there doing something magnificent. It's not me.
Yeah, the separation is
huge.
Yeah. Okay, that's the San Miguel retreat, maybe.
As far as I know, we'll find out.
Well, that's a part of it.
Yeah, it's a part of it. Just like, with the Egypt retreat, we did a little teaser for the Egypt retreat before. And it's so funny because we did our little thing and we said whatever we said and it was still awesome. And then we went and did it and I was like, oh yeah, well, I don't know what we thought it was, but whatever it was. It's like a fraction of like what actually happened. It's always that way.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, it's like you get a breadcrumb.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes I think the breadcrumb's just to make sure we follow.
Yes.
Yeah, just follow, would you? I always have an image now of my higher self. And again, I know it's a separation, but it helps me giggle a little bit. So it's like this old granny in a rocking chair reading the same nursery rhyme ever and ever and ever and ever to me. That's sitting on a couch again. Once upon a time, Fiona woke up and she listened,
Yeah.
And I'm basically staring at the telly, a dog barking and the dog. And suddenly I'm like, wait, who? And the granny stops in her chair and goes, you can hear me? You can finally hear me? Wait, I've got another page for you,
Yeah.
I have that image of this, the higher self. Like, I've been here for eons.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. It has been there for eons. And the funny, crazy thing is your big S self, your higher self, whatever you call it, will wait for you for eons to finally freaking realize that it's there.
Yeah.
And to ask it for help.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, the granny is like, you're awake. Yeah, look how many more pages are available. Yeah, I know. Would you like some porridge with that? You know what I mean? So it's kind of this amazing thing how funny we are. And we keep forgetting to connect to the heart space. And really, this heart vortex thing, I mean, it's a curious thing because, like Chris, my husband, He says he doesn't feel.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that. And I can say it now because I know he's not going to say anything back, but what a load of nonsense, eh? We know he can feel goosebumps and all.
Goosebumps and all. And he has all this knowingness. But the lovely thing about the vortex is really you just have to leap. And as soon as it activates, you have to leap and then just allow yourself to fall. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I have a theory. Let's see what happens in March and April. If the timelines are doing this present moment in time, and you just said it's a leap and you have to fall, and that is maybe part of the catalytic process that you're going to engage for people, then we are going to just literally fall faster because there is no other timelines to get caught in, right?
Exactly. You just fall into the clarity of a higher level one that's higher in resonance. And that's what we're doing in part is with these new timelines, the clarity of them. So I think some people have heard me talk about the old collective illusion, right? That's how we as a collective have interfaced with the illusion. We think we need to do this, that, and the other to have success. We need to think we need to do all these things in order to have enough. We need to do all of these things to have abundance or whatever it is, to feel safe. Yeah. And there are all these rules and things that our lineage have learned and our past lifetimes have informed us and our culture tells us is true. But the wonderful thing is once you get into these new timelines, if you're of a high enough resonance, you get to start to seed the new collective agreement of what it gets to be when we start to experience these new timelines. Like we don't have to be in scarcity in the same way. You don't have to have oppression in the same way. You don't need to like make sure someone doesn't take from you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In order to get theirs. Like all that stuff starts to shift. And we're getting to this point where we're going to be doing that. And it's exciting. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in March, right? But I am excited to see what's going to happen because as you said, each of these retreats, and go back and watch the Egypt episode if you hadn't, because I talk about each of the retreats and what happened, have deliberately fed into each other in order to prepare us for the next page. So the granny on the chair, she's like, okay, you've completed this page. Good job.
Yeah.
Flip.
You're still listening.
Yeah. And here's the next page for you. And look at the pretty colors on this page, you know? So anyway, I'm excited to see what's going to happen because, I mean, last year in San Miguel de Allende, each San Miguel de Allende retreat has been spectacular. Like after
it just keeps getting stronger.
Like after Peru, we seeded the light codes, and then that SMA retreat was about expressing the light codes. How do you do it through the embodiment? And then after Peru, after Scotland, we were in that resonance of the Christ consciousness grid, which is like a huge thing. And then the SMA retreat was all about releasing subjugation, so that we could really more clearly embody, express, feel those consciousness grids. And now after Egypt, now we get to do whatever we're going to be doing in SMA. And I'm very curious.
Okay. Yeah. Let's not spoil it.
Okay.
Let's leave it there.
Okay.
Because if we talk too much about it, then it becomes a thing rather than unfolding, right?
Yes, exactly.
So let's just leave that there.
Okay.
And let it happen. And maybe we'll talk about it after.
Yeah, we should talk about it after. That'll be fun.
Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for your time and your energy. It's so appreciated.
Thank you. If you want to be ready to drop through the heart vortex, you have to learn to be deeply in the present moment of linear time. Click here to get the free group frequency calibration that will help you do just that.